Welcome to the Home and Life Design Summit Season 3, where we are meeting with amazing leaders and intuitives to talk about embodying art and beauty to create more joy. I am your host, Fallon Jordan, and I'm so excited and delighted to have my friend, colleague, and mentor, Tracy L Clark here. Thank you so much for being here, Tracy.
So excited to be here. Your summits are always so much fun because you're always spending so much joy and love. Always. That's who you are naturally. So it's
Thank
always a good
you.
time.
I know people are like, you really, it's like so fun. And I'm like, yeah, it's like literally
Yeah.
the most fun ever. So thank you so much for being here. We're so
Oh,
excited for you to be on this journey. You can read Tracy's full bio below, but she is a author, best-selling author, speaker, international coach, creator of the body regeneration method. I pretty much am obsessed with her Miraculous Academy, and I'll put some links with that below. And she's just an all-around, to me, angel on earth, and just really spreading what we need, which is just more love and more light so that we can live the way that we are meant to. And we were talking before hitting record, just like axing those soul fragments and bringing them back to you. And art and beauty is such amazing way to do that. And so I want to just start and just ask, when I asked you if you wanted to come, we were talking about art and beauty, like what that meant to you and what you feel like is going to be the most helpful information for people to kind of access in our time together.
yeah. You know what? You said it right there. I've been talking a lot about soul fragments and bringing them back because a lot of times people, they say, I lost my joy or I lost my passion or I lost my childlike faith or my childlike energy. And typically, when you look back as a child, right, you're kind of having fun. You have dynamics in your family that could be heavy. And then we enter the systems and it's like, sit down, be quiet, don't do that, put your hand up, go to the bathroom. And all of a sudden, life's like, well, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be a fun kid having a good time. And what happens over our lifetime is exactly we start giving pieces of ourselves to someone for whatever reason, whether it's a parent we want to please or a teacher, an authoritative figure. And then our joy kind of, we look and we're like, life's kind of joyous. Where did it go? Like, or we're, and a lot of people right now are feeling a lot more stressed. They're maybe uncertain of where the world's going. And what people forget is when we're in our joy and our creativity and our play, we're also then higher in our manifestation space. So there's a reason in the world that they have removed the joy and that childlike, but it's been done on purpose. People don't they forget that. And that when it's removed, then yeah, you tend to be more stressed and heavy. And then your creation energy goes down. It's why the creative arts has always kind of been poo-pooed in school and stuff, like, oh, you're not going to get a job, you'll be a starving artist.
Mhm.
Because the creative arts actually raises your vibration, it raises your frequency. That's why when you're singing and dancing or playing an instrument, like I dance around my house all the time. I'm sure if anybody's looking in my window, they'll be like, what's with that crazy lady? She's dancing in her house because it raises your vibration, and it's a good time if you're saying affirmations or you want to speak to the universe. That's a great time to do it, is when you're actually in a creative level, because it raises the joy factor. And that's why we can talk a little bit and do a simple exercise of how to bring some of the soul fragments back, because it's always pieces of you. Like, even if you're in a relationship with a friend or a lover and that ends, if you haven't brought your soul fragments back, they still carry pieces of you. You carry pieces of them. And then that can also dampen your joy because you can feel not whole. You're like, I feel like I got a hole in me, or something's not right, or I'm thinking about that person too much. And it's usually because there's a cord still between you and that person, place, or thing.
Yeah, that's amazing that you're sharing that. And I'm sure people are having all these little light bulbs go off. And,
Mhm.
dancing around in your kitchen's a great example. Like, what are some other little things? Because I'm sure there's people that are here and excited, but maybe they
Mhm.
don't see themselves as an artist, or they're like, oh, it's just
Yeah.
a hobby once in a while to like color or do anything where I feel like I'm creating something, when it's like, no, you are a creator. Like, you were
Yeah.
created by the most divine creator. What would you say to
Yeah.
someone that's kind of wanting to access that part of themselves?
Yeah, quite often we look at creativity, as we said, as just maybe it's there an instrument or singing or drawing, and but creativity goes far beyond that. Like creativity, like my business for me is very creative. Like when I'm in my business, I just finished creating a whole bunch of new things. Like it's creative to me. When I'm writing a book, it's creative process. It's not hard, it's creative process. Or if I'm speaking and like to the universe, I'm always talking. In my house, like I'm always talking to spirit. But because I'm always getting messages, that's creative energy. So anything that moves you to a higher vibration is creative energy. Even going for a walk is actually creative energy. People think it's not. But it is. Maybe it's exercise. That's creative energy. So what I say is you got to start to tap into what is the one, if you're not used to doing something that you seem as creative or different, what's the one thing that you go, I actually enjoy that? Because you have to enjoy it. It's like, people exercise and they hate it. Well, then, like, why are you doing that exercise? Because it's going to
Right.
lower your vibration. It's not
Mhm.
going to do anything for your body. It's going to keep you stuck because you're like, versus, oh, I get to go and do this. Right. So those are creative moments that you got to bring into your space. And, most people like music. There's something they like in music. Even if you're listening to it and letting that energy vibrate in your body, that's a creative moment.
Mhm.
That's a creative moment. And that's one thing that you look at. So we look at creativity. Well, what are we always doing with the universe? We're always creating with the universe. We are one. Like the universe, I said it this morning in the Miraculous Academy that like I expect miracles every day and the universal energy is rigged in my favor. Well, that's creativity, right? You're playing with the universe. And when we're moving energy and creating our whole space, what do people forget? Playing with the universe is creative. And
Mhm.
then you're like, oh my gosh, look what I saw today. I got this sign or this person. I had someone the other day. They were so excited. They were playing with some things in their finances and boom, the something they went from having a big bill to the bill being taken care of and they got more money. That's creative play, right? That's creativity. So we got to expand what creativity is and how do we add that creative element in every part of our life?
I
That's
love
change.
that.
Yeah.
And like playing with money, like so fun.
That's creative, right? You're like, hey, I'll let this go. And I changed someone's life. And then, oh my gosh, this came back to me now. That's creativity. See, money for people is hard, right? They're like, oh, it's hard. And I'm like, no, if you understand how to create with it, it's a tool, it's a flow. And then you're like, oh, I was able to better this person's world. But now look what came back here. And it's play. It's not like, oh, it's a total play energy. And that's why the play energy has been taken out of financial space because they need you in stress. But when you're in play, yeah, you create more. So when you look at creativity, anybody listening is where can I be creative throughout my day? Meaning, where can I be in alignment and awareness with my day? Because now your inner power is creating what's coming from external inside.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And how would you say creative play impacts beauty and your relationship with beauty?
Okay. Well, that's a feeling. I mean, beauty of the outside world or the beauty of who we are inside?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. She's like, both. Let's do both. Well, it does. It creates because a lot of people, and I'll take myself for example. Here's something example. So when I was young, most people, if they've read my book, I was really, really sick, right? So heavy, sick, stress, the world, it's like an ER day every day, right? And literally, when I was in my, like before I started doing this work, I was 32 when I started. So I'm 52 now. So when I started doing it, I looked old, haggard. And I was like, everybody, I looked way older than I do now. Like you look back, my daughter sent me something on the weekend and she goes, gosh, mom, look at that. You look so old and skinny. And what was this? She's like, now you look so young and vibrant. But here was the change. As I re-anchored the energy in and I saw the world differently and I changed inside of me, I naturally started to de-age. I naturally started to look younger because the burdens were lifting off, right? Eeyore goes away, the negativity lifts, your body's cells naturally change. So you will de-age. Then the outside world looks more beautiful because now you're attracting more beauty in. So you're like, wow, versus, oh, everybody's been an ass today, part of my language. But, you get, wow, people were really nice today. And I changed that space. So the trees start to look more colorful and the birds, you hear them singing differently. And people say, really, is that really, trust me, I know what the other Eeyore day was because I used to live in it every day. Oh, I'm in pain. Oh, I'm in agony. Oh, it sucks. The world sucks. So the beauty inside and out doing this creative energy work and play and understand, you will naturally DH. You naturally will. And you will feel better. You wake happier. You get versus getting out of bed, which if anybody can relate, I was the person who's like, oh God, I can't have another day. I don't want to get it. Like that's why I had so many near death experiences. But, and I even thought of another one the other day. I forgot about it. I'm like, oh, I haven't worked my roster. But it was this space where now you get out of bed and you're like, what's today bringing me? Like,
Mhm.
what am I going to receive today in the universe? That joy in your body, hence why they keep people not in joy. So you'll be sick and end up on their system. the more joy and creativity inside, you will naturally de-age. And I was my own test subject.
100%. And I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are here and they maybe just like peeked at who was speaking, like, wow, these are all beautiful people. And it's like,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they're doing this
Yeah.
work and they're seeing the beauty in
Yeah.
everyday life. They are waking up
Yeah.
saying, I expect miracles, which is one of my
Yeah.
favorite affirmations. And I'm so grateful that you taught me that.
Yeah.
But really just that first moment when you wake up really dictates your life.
Yeah.
And that is impacted by your sleep, which is impacted by your nighttime routine. And so there are a lot of little
Yeah.
things you can do to really make decisions that are in
Yeah.
your highest and best. And when you're living your highest best, you are beautiful in the definition that a lot of the speakers have shared. I'm excited for you to hear some of them because they're things
Yeah.
I've heard before.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about like the outside stuff. We've talked about skincare. If you want to use that as an example of people that are probably spending 30 minutes a night on their skin, thinking that's like the thing that's going to make them feel beautiful.
Yeah, right. And we're again always looking outside for something to make us look beautiful. So that we've been conditioned that like there's that industry outside, outside, outside. And that key that so many of us learn from doing the work is no, it's inside. And then the more inner work you do, the more beautiful you feel because you're in love with yourself. And I don't mean that in an egotistical way. You're in love as a whole being. You love what you're creating. You love you have boundaries in your life. You love that you have people that uplift you versus, we've been there where you wake up and you're like, oh God, you're still here. Okay, I got to deal with this, right? Like not feeling so good today. You're like, oh, I thought in my sleep you'd disappear. But then you're like, oh, it's that energy, right? So then you're that, and that's what it is. And we are like, it's really interesting. I look at how much stuff people use on their physical body, to try to make themselves, oh, I'll take this, it'll change, or this cream will make me younger. When no, the only thing you need to learn is to love yourself more and really let go of that energy. And I always do this because I'm always coming back to heart. So when I'm working or taking people, I'm like, pull your energy back to heart. And that's what it is. It's really about loving and it just will naturally, it transforms. And people, they don't, until you start to live it, then you start to understand it. And I can't tell you how many classes I've done where people have let go of so many emotions. And then they'll say to me, my friends are asking me if I got a facelift. And I'm like, yeah, because you're happy. You're no longer carrying those burdens, right?
Yeah.
And they love it. They're like, it's just naturally, they think I got a facelift. Somebody asked me the other day, they're like, did you go for a crazy facial because you're glowing very differently? And I'm like, no, no. Like I literally put the only thing I put on my face, people laugh. I use a charcoal scrub to wash my face at night and some argan oil, some organic argan oil. That's it. That's
Mhm.
it. And they're like, you don't use anything else? I'm like, no, that is it. And what? Like a $12 bottle of organic argan oil. Like, and so that's not good for the beauty industry. I get it. But at the same time, we are so transformational and our higher self is so pure. Like we're not meant to age the way we do. So when people start to connect to their higher self and realize this, then the de-aging process is really not what we've been told. We're just locked into that paradigm.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. We're told, right? At 40, you're going to get glasses. At 50, you'll probably wear Depends. And at 60s, let's get you a walker. And people buy into that. Oh, I'm 60. I'm old. I'm like, I'm 52. I
No.
still feel like I'm 25. Like, hello. I feel better now at 52 than I did at 25. 25, I felt like spirit. So we have that ability inside of us for sure. For sure. Yeah.
So amazing. What
Yeah.
are little things every day that make you experience joy?
Well, my dog, my animals, of course, he's sitting down here going, oh, hello. My animal, but you know what? I'm blessed that the people I work with and seeing, this, I get joy just seeing progress in where people are changing and shifting. I'm enjoying my own life. I just, I can get joy. I go for a walk twice a day and meeting new people and seeing their animals and watching the birds. And for me, nature gives me joy, or just coming out of a bed and I get up and I'm like, what can I experience today that I haven't experienced? That's what gives me joy. I do live in that space. And sometimes it freaks people out. They're like, you're very happy. I don't know if I want to work with you, or you're very happy. Like, and they're looking if they're new in my circle. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, you didn't want to know me before. Like, trust me. But if you don't want joyous people around you, then that's okay. Then you don't have to come in our circle. That's okay. but it's yeah, it's just you're getting up and you're seeing I like seeing people's days smile. Like I have this thing I do when I go out, any store I go in, I think you've heard me say this, anywhere I go, I say hello to everyone I meet. I smile and I'm like, hello. And they all look at you like, oh, and a cashier, like, hello. And I'll do things to make them smile and change their day. And it brings me joy just to see that we can spread that. Like, it doesn't have to be big. It's just like, you know what? Your hair looks great today. Fallon looks great. I told you, I love your pink today. Like what you're wearing is so beautiful and so vibrant. And, I said, oh, I have pink nails. Like, but these are fun things. It's color and it's joy. And it's like, you look amazing and you're glowing. And, why are we not going out in the world and saying that? So there's a stranger in the coffee line, say like, you know what? I love your haircut, or I love that sweater on you. Like that sounds crazy, but it is a way to put more joy into somebody's life that you don't know the effect you can have on them. And every time when you do that, it comes back to you too. So it's a
100%. And
blessing.
that's what's, being generous and
Yeah.
then also being an excellent receiver, telling the
Yeah.
universe you can receive more. And compliments is one of the most magical places to start, I think.
Yeah. And I always say that, like, you want to be a generous giver and a generous receiver. And that's not just with your finances, obviously, that's in your life. Like, that's how you run your life. The more generous giver you are, the more as a receiver. And you need to have both. And that's a learning curve. We've all had to learn that. But again, that brings and to receive that joy. Some people, it's easy to go through, well, if I'm too joyous and people don't want to be around me. And I went through that too. But I'm like, screw you. Like if you don't want to be around happy and you want to just be negative, then that's fine. Like I just real guys, sorry, I just say like this. Like,
Hey,
but
this
it's
is why I love you. You helped me like bring this into my truth.
yeah, it's just, you know what? If you don't want to experience that, that's okay. You're just not my people right now. That's totally okay. And if you can come to that resolution, you're going to feel happy because now you're in alignment. Now you're compatible with your outside world and you're more compatible with your inside world.
Exactly.
Compatibility brings joy. See,
Oh,
most people aren't joyous because they're not compatible with half the people they're hanging around, right?
mm,
So if you're compatible, then you're joyous. And then you can grow out of compatibility. And that's when you just say, I'm going to love you and let you go. But that will keep you in a joy state. So I also make sure that I'm very compatible with my environment and people I'm around because that makes me joyous, very joyous.
100%.
Yeah.
I love that so much. And that sense of community is like another thing that we're definitely talking a lot with some of the other speakers, because that is where we get our joy. Like we're
Yeah.
social creatures as humans. Like we're meant to be alone, connect with spirit, and then go out and like spread this joy and share it with other people. And yeah, I mean, it only takes one person in a group setting to like bring the vibe down. And then, that's impacting our joy. That's impacting my joy. That's not
Well,
cool.
and I would say like people are surprised, and I don't know if you know this, but in the community, I've actually exited people out of our community. And
Mhm.
people say, you do that? And I'm like, yeah, because if they don't want to shift and they just want to bring things to pull it down, then, and I know we all have issues, we got to work through them. And that's fine if people are working all day long. But yeah, I've had to say, you know what, this isn't a place for you because it's been so heavy. But they were like, well, they just want a place to dump. I'm like,
Mm,
this isn't a place to dump, it's a place to share so you can get resolution and move through. It's a big difference, right?
yeah,
So I don't care where they are in the space. I'm like, well, you got to go until you're ready to come back to be in a sharing capacity to help each other grow and move forward, which is a big difference. And we have to, I really believe, because in communities, it is important. I see it in businesses when I used to be in corporate. And sometimes when I've been brought into companies, they'll say, something's wrong in the energy here. Like it's not flowing. And I'll just sit there and I'll be like, well, that's your person that you might want to, oh, I thought they were okay. Only to find out later, this happened to me, that the boss came back to me and said, oh my God, Trace, like I opened up to the staff. We found out the truth. So we
mhm.
let them go. And then the staff was like, oh my God, I'm so glad you finally let that person go. They were always negative and manipulating and saying bad things about you. And he was a really good boss. And
Yeah.
he's like, now all of a sudden, so their sales tripled when this person left. Sales tripled, the morale went up. So you, like you say, one apple. But how many times does that happen in our families, our friend groups, right? One person has their issues and then they start like, in whatever group it is, and they want to just dump, and it just lowers the vibe because they're trying to get you to come down to their vibe. They don't
Mm,
like your joy vibe. So just
yeah.
thank them and love them and just say, off you go. I love you. Off you go. Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm so glad that that person had the courage to do that because it
Hmm.
really, I mean, immediately they started seeing money. They had other people saying, thank you so much for doing that
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
finding people isn't fun, but
No.
not living in your alignment and not allowing the people that are supporting you in your business to do that is
Yeah.
just an option.
Yeah, and they had a very good culture and they noticed that something went sideways. So, and I've known them for a while. So they were like, "Hey, Trace, can you come in and take a look?" Like they just thought I was some HR lady sitting there. Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's okay because it gave them what they required and brought their business back. And then there's so it can affect your like this when you're not enjoyed. There's a prime example of how that affected this company financially.
Yeah.
So imagine when you're with these people, how it's affecting you personally, financially, or in your relationship, right? And when we're all in relationships where they're not joyous anymore and they're fighting and heavy, nothing seems to go right in your life, right? Because that energy is now projecting out. And that's where you feel more tired. You don't have the energy or motivation. You don't want to get out there and do anything. Again, looking at your vibrational frequency and shifting it back into that joy state. That's where we're supposed to be.
Exactly. Yeah. It's our
Yeah.
birthright.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look at the world. If people were more joy, harmonious, and that was the actual agenda, you would not see war. You would not see poverty. You'd not see lack. You wouldn't see any of that. You'd see a world that works in harmony. And that's hard for people to understand. Like we're getting there in time, but it would be a very harmonious world. It would be like, oh, I'm sorry, I hurt your feelings that way. Nobody would be positioning. Nobody would be like, I'm better than you because that doesn't exist in joy and love. We're all equal. Right. So we're just learning.
Yeah. And I'm grateful that we are headed that
Mhm.
way. And
Yeah,
anyone who's here is definitely on their journey with us. So
for
just want to
sure.
give gratitude for
Yeah.
everybody participating because it's not easy, right? Like it's not an easy road and
No.
it's so worth it.
It isn't easy. And I'm glad you said that because a lot of times on this journey, I get a lot of people where they see me now. I was saying this to somebody the other day, and he said, "You're very calm. You're very in this space." And he said, "Like, how did you get here?" And I said, "Well, 2 decades of doing this work." But I said, people see for now who we are, like all the speakers. Oh, they're fun. They're happy. We're all good. But they don't see the days where we're like, okay, get me out of here. I'm done. I don't want to be here. I'm finished. Dark nights of the soul. Doing this journey is not just spinning the light and being all roses and puppy dog tails and popcorn and good things. That's a misconception. It's actually some of the hardest work you'll ever do, but the best work, and it's worth it. It's worth it.
100%.
Yeah.
So I know you have an amazing free gift that'll be
Yeah.
helpful that people can do like right after this and anytime they're kind of in one of those moments where they're out of their joy. Would you like to
Yeah.
share a bit more?
Yeah. So we're doing there's two. So you have the one simple tool, which is basically connecting you back to your heart drive. And I'll teach you how to do that. I'll go back to your heart drive and let energy go that's basically stale. The other gift that we're adding today is it's a chapter from my book, God Writes Me, but it's called The Mind's a Virus. And it's an audio, so you can listen to it. People want to listen to it. So it's an audio. And within the audio, it not only tells, I walk through my journey of where my mind, is big virus. A lot
Yeah.
of us empaths, we got a lot of stuff opening up and we tend to overthink and we pick up everyone else's emotions in the beginning. We don't know what's happening, right? So it walks you through that and then gives you some of the little tools, basic tools that you can use to do that as well. But while we're also here, if you want to bring some of your soul fragments back, I'll show you a quick little exercise. It'll take a couple minutes. And
Yeah.
if you see those people, like just imagine whoever they are, people throughout your life, you can ask them to stand here. Maybe you had a lover, maybe you had a boss, whatever, where you felt there was energy exchanged. And when energy is exchanged, there's imprint. So one of the things you can do, or say somebody feels like they pulled away from you, but you'd like them to sort of tune in a little bit more. This works really well.
Yay.
Yeah. You're like, okay, I always say, thank you, God. You say universe divine, whatever works. It's an energy of love to me. But I'm like, okay, thank you, God. I'm bringing back all of my soul fragments from all of these people, places, or things. If it's one person, just see your energy coming back into your heart for being whole, giving them, thank you, God, their energy back. So any fragments or imprints you haven't used, so you're asking to give their energy back to them. So you're reclaiming your energy, you're giving their energy back to them, and then you're recentering yourself as whole. So it's all the pieces. So the wholes start to go away. So you'll feel more grounded. It's very quick, but we do this because you're signaling to the body, right, that you're bringing your soul fragments back. You're returning theirs back to them. And so now you're really grounded and you're centered. So that's why we move the arms that way. So now your body goes, and it feels calm. And what will happen, just FYI, these people will notice it. So they can kind of try to call you or ping it in, or I've done it sometimes. I'm like, hey, where'd they go? And then I pull my soul fragment back and boom, like within a couple of minutes, they'll call you or text you. And then you start laughing like, oh, there they are. So if you want them in your life, but if you don't, just know that they're only reaching out because they've now felt that it's like a cord that gets cut.
Mhm.
And that's like as soon as you command to bring your soul fragments back and return theirs back to them, and you can clean it up sometimes in the middle. Just by doing that little tool, they'll kind of go, oh, and you'll feel more calm. And you're like, I'm bringing my energy back to me. You can do it all day long too, even if you're out and about somewhere and all of a sudden you feel someone, maybe you're in a crowd. You're like, oh, I'm just going to bring my energy back to me and I'll let them take what's back to them. It's a very simple, but as you know, our arms are an extension of our heart. So it's a nice way to communicate. Just like I said to someone the other day, in the sci-fi movies where they put a computer screen up there and they write and they move things on your computer screen like this.
Mhm.
That's why for a lot of us as energy, when we move our hands, it's because you're moving the energy just like you would be in those computer screens in the movies. It's actually the same thing. That's why they came up with that, because they could see you were doing it actually in your physical body.
That's so cool. And yeah, I do my bringing in Chris
Yeah.
consciousness every
Yeah.
morning.
Every morning,
Everyone who
activating
walks
the
by my
crystal
house
light.
is like
Yeah.
her arms are flailing, and I'm like,
Yep.
yep.
Yep. That's me. Mine are always like, "Ooh, I'm walking." I have a friend who played volleyball. So if you put your hands like too close to his
Yeah.
face, right? He's like like this. But I always talk with my hands. So when I'm around, I always have to be very mindful that, like,
That's so funny.
I'm not going to slap you. It's okay. I just talk with my hands because I'm moving the energy all the time. So then they get to know it after a while. It's like I'm always moving stuff out. Yeah.
That is amazing. And I'll put the link below to claim the free chapter.
Chapter.
And then I'll put the link for one simple tool in a different section, but you will definitely notice that in the bio below. But that's so generous. 2 gifts.
You're welcome. Well, you guys are so amazing. So there's more always coming. We always have gifts for people.
I know. I always go like, what's your gift going to be? Because you're
Yeah.
always creating and
Yeah.
embodying human beauty to create more joy in your business. And that is serving
Yeah.
all these beautiful people who are here and in your community. So thank you for all the things that you've done to heal and just be an amazing mentor and guide for everyone who gets to meet you.
Well, thank you for doing what you're doing, because you've made a big difference and a big impact. And we always have a lot of fun. So well done. Well done. You're spreading joy on your journey. And there's nothing better than, right, spreading joy with something you love.
Yes. Yeah. So if you're here for a reason. We have so many amazing conversations in store for you. So stay tuned. We will see you in the next conversation. But sending you so much love, Tracy. Thank you so much for being here.
Same to you.
See everyone else in the next conversation. Bye for now.